Hello and welcome to Ivycreates. We are glad that you're here with us today. I'm going to be doing this lovely little corgi for a present for someone, for my client's son. And first thing I'm going to do is change my photo to black and white, then get a piece of graphite paper. And I'm going to put the graphite paper down and the black and white over the top. And I'm using my tool to darken in the basic shapes of the animal, and this is specifically so it's a lot faster than drawing and very accurate in proportion. So I like to do that to have that accuracy in proportion. If you can, please subscribe and hit the like button and notification bell so you can see once I take the graphite I have the basics down for my picture. And I've just gone around the outside edge with some chalk paint in the colors that are in the photo I'm working on. The little corgi was in a pile of leaves that were very pretty maple leaves for the fall. So I'm just drying around where I put in my basic color. I go back and add more to this at the very end. I add more colors, and I even laid some leaves down that I gotten from the yard to kind of copy the shapes of them in and around the colors. Just a little muted effect, adding some different dark reds and light reds in it. So you can see that I'm going to start color blocking, and what this means is I'm just putting basic colors into my painting, and that is, I'm not worried about getting any details, getting anything perfect. I want to go in and put the basic colors down, so some of my light browns, my light pinks, and then I'll start moving in with my darker colors and giving it more of a shape. And so at this point we're not worried about any details. I'm putting in white, adding some of the white colors in where I see it on my painting, and we're not at all worried about details. Like I said, we're just color blocking it in, and that is coming in with a tan color, a white color, and a soft mauvey pink color on the tongue and right around the eyes. And if you see my little heat gun, you can use a blow dryer as well. So now I'm using a micro tip brush pen, and that is just adding in some of the really dark spots in black. So I'm using that for the nostrils and the black that is in the eyes and around the nose a little bit. And when I work on the nose, you'll see it later on in the process that I also just do it with little polka dots. I don't necessarily color the whole color in. I'm just doing little polka dots to get the colors in there. So now this is around the mouth, just coloring in around where the mouth is in the darker colors to give me my lines. If you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to leave them below. I can do a full version of this if you need, but I think that this, rather than have you sit through everything step by step, this goes a little bit faster when I speed it up. So all I've done now is gone in and I added a very light brown color into the eyes, and adding more colors as I go. And I go back and forth because I'm a multimedia person. I go back and forth between my acrylic paints and my brush pen markers. I use a lot of the Faber-Castell artist pit pens with brush tips, and a lot of other types of markers, acrylic markers, different things like that. So you will see me go back and forth between the two because I do like to add my details, and I find that if I'm using the brush markers, it just helps me to get the fur a little bit better. So you'll see me do different types of strokes. Now this is a short-haired dog, but it has a very thick coat and it has an undercoat, which is another shorter coat underneath what you normally see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and I add colors darker and darker as I go, keeping in mind that the black areas have to be, the most prominent on the dog. So I'll do short pen strokes And they're just short and quick little strokes on this particular puppy because of the type of fur that it has. And as you put your stroke down with the brush pen, you lightly put your stroke down and then you pull it upward as you're going, so that so it stays light and short, like thin at the end. It's hard to do with a paintbrush. You can, but you have to constantly keep dipping your paintbrush into paint. And so that is why I prefer the brush markers, because I don't have to constantly dip them in the paint. And I can always go back with my paint and go over the top as a wash or a glaze to add more color. And you can see this little pup has a really great smile and is very happy. It has some really bright brown eyes. And I'm putting a little shadow down there in the tongue area. You can see that. I also add a bit of lavender down on the tongue where the shadows are to show that, and as well as the pink up in the ears and around just the edges of the eye. Now I'm going more, to my picture and adding in little darker details. And what I'm using is Faber-Castell, and it's a gray pen. Even though this dog does not have a lot of gray, it does have shadows. And so I'm creating some of the shadows with my gray pen. And that's the best part about these particular brush pens, is they're translucent. So you can layer and layer the paint. So if I go in and I start to layer some shadows, I can always come back over it with a different brown or a different orange to add more color to it. Just getting in some of the shadows initially, and I'm also getting in some of the highlights with this white pen. This particular white pen that I'm using right now actually came from the Dollar Tree, so not all your pens have to be expensive. This is a white metallic marker, and it doesn't come out super metallic. It's just a really good white opaque pen, which is really hard to find. And it only costs $1 from the Dollar Tree. And knowing Dollar Tree, I'll probably never see the darn thing again, but it's a great pen, and I'll use it until it runs out of ink. I like India inks. I like alcohol ink a lot, and the acrylics, to use those. And this is just the best part about doing the details. I know I can go in with any of these markers, and then I can go over them with the acrylics as well. Oils are really hard to use. They're great for depth and for long-term painting. I don't know how to explain it, but they're really great for a lot of things as far as depth goes. But, it takes them forever to dry, and that drives me absolutely crazy. I am a very fast worker. I like to do it and get it over with, and I want it to dry, and I want it to give it to the client immediately, because once I'm done with it and I'm happy with it, then I'm excited and I want them to see it. So acrylics just make a lot more sense to me, and I can dry in between different coats of things, and add as I go, and I can use several different types of media, or tools, artist tools, without having to worry about oils. You got to use oils, and you can't use much else, So the acrylics and the brush pens and all of the different inks are really helpful. And I'm always experimenting. Never stop experimenting on what you're doing. You can see I just added little white catch lights in the eyes. That is where your light is coming from on the subject. So you always want to make sure that your shadows show the opposite of those catch lights. But your light is coming from that direction. So if the catch lights are up to the right, which they kind of are in this painting, then your shadows will be down to the left. But I'm always experimenting with different types of tools, new types of markers to see which is best. It's just like anything. If you use makeup, you know, there's over-the-counter makeup that you can get in your drugstore that's just as good as the really expensive stuff in a real high-end department store. Same thing with your markers and paints. I want to thank y'all so much for being here, and thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please leave me a comment, a like, subscribe, and watch more videos to come, and check out some of the other videos on my channel. I've got some great shorts of my puppies, and they're not really puppies much anymore, but you know, I've got some other interesting things that you might find fun to watch. And I hope my client adores this as much as I adored painting it, with a great smile on that puppy dog.